Hi, today I think I'm going to tackle this Beech Burl. I've never turned a Beech Burl before, I've never had one. This is the first one I've come across. And with all of these burls, you kind of have to look at it quite a few times to figure out exactly what to make with it. Do I do an open form? Do I do a closed form? This one is nice and round, as you can see here. So I think I will maybe make a hollow form with this. Perhaps this being the top with some natural edge here, and then this being the bottom. And like most of my burls, what I do is start it between centers and get the rough shape figured out. Put a tenon down here. So let's get on with it. Here I'm just making sure the piece is relatively centered on the lathe. Now I'm just going to take off some of the high spots and start forming the tenon area, which is really the bottom of the piece. Again, I'm taking off the high points and starting to form the shape. You'll notice quite a lot of dust coming off the piece. The dust coming off the piece here shows that it's very punky and there's a lot of powder post beetle damage. Hopefully none of the beetles remain in the wood, but you can see how dusty it is. I've now established the tenon and the basic shape of the piece. I've had to coat this entire piece with some epoxy hardener. It was very punky. You can see lots of powder post beetle holes all the way through it. Yeah, I'm not sure if this piece is going to be salvageable or not, but hey, I had some of this, in this particular case I used Rot Fix, which is a System 3 epoxy product. Sometimes I use System 3 Clear Coat epoxy as well. As long as you have a really runny epoxy that will go into the pores, that should work. In this case, I put 2 coatings of the epoxy on, and we'll see how it works. I'm just taking the epoxy off the base here, and I'm going to true up the tenon so I will be able to put it in the chuck. Now I'm going to continue taking the epoxy off all of the outer surface with a series of push cuts and some shear scraping cuts with my gouge. To start the hollowing process, I always pre-drill a hole to my desired depth. And now I'm showing you the hollowing system I'm using. This is the Hope system from the UK. It's a rear supported system and has a high-speed steel cutter on the end. After blowing the piece out, I use the Andre Martel calipers to gauge my wall thickness, and I will keep doing this until the piece is totally finished. Well, the piece didn't turn out too bad after all. The inside was very, very punky. I did have to turn it a little bit thicker than I might normally do, just because I think it's a bit fragile. I don't want it to fall apart. The epoxy on the outside is holding it together. I'm going to remove this tenon by using a vacuum chuck. Not as a vacuum, but just as a way to jam chuck it. Just have to be careful not to apply too much pressure, just enough to remove the bottom. After all sanding, I'm going to finish the piece with general salad bowl finish. This is the finished piece and a few other very similar hollow form turnings.